All right. The Pac 12 is absolutely breaking down right now. And I know I'm being biased, but I blame Oregon and USC. That's where the money is. Those are the two teams who really have all the recruiting power. And that's where kids want to go, man. They want the Nike money and they want to play in LA. And UCLA and Washington and UCLA have some history. Washington a little more so, but they have some history for sure. Aikman at UCLA, Washington has a ship. They were even good. They have a playoff appearance, so they were able to latch on, and each of them picked their rivals, right? And poor Oregon State and Washington State. That's been the sentiment. Is poor them, right? Um, we're left out. All these other teams got to go in to the fucking Big 12, right? And you're talking about Stanford and Cal, like they have so much money. People are going to want them somewhere, or they can be independent and they don't really give a fuck. They have other sports and shit and other things. Um, but if you're Washington and Oregon State, sometimes some people are like, well, you're really the ones who are getting left out. And my take actually is don't press the panic button, especially in Corvallis right now. Do not press the panic button. Washington State also don't press the panic button. That's a good team right now with a good quarterback. And yeah, we'll see how Ward can do this year. They're building off a decent bit, so we'll see. I think their number's at 6.5, so that's actually not that low, considering how good the Pac-12 is going to be, and considering that they're going to have Wisconsin early on. So Vegas kind of thinks decently high of them. I think they could definitely get that over too, but that's a different tangent. The Beavs. The Beavs have the best quarterback room that they've ever had. And it's not really close, I don't think. Maybe when Jonathan Smith was there, you had Sean Mannion, who definitely had some good years. Um, but you're talking about a 5-star guy and a 4-star guy, right? And it's not like it's no 5-star guy that nobody knows, right? DJ played at Clemson, like he has big game experience, right? And then you're talking about a guy in Aiden Childs that is 17, I believe, and the dude can just play. All right, and he's one of the. It's crazy that Oregon State was able to recruit him. But I mean, apparently the quarterback fight is pretty good up there in Corvallis. So we'll see if he gets some time or if he becomes the backup over Gobranson. Um, but the Bees are recruiting great. They're recruiting just fine. They're hanging in there, right? And they land a guy like DJ in the transfer portal. And with all this transfer portal stuff that's going on these days, I don't care if the conferences go apart, right? Oregon State and Washington State can go into the Mountain West, play some quality teams, Boise State, Air Force, and run it and be 11-1. And then you can't really leave them out of the playoff if it's 12 teams. I don't know how the automatic bid is gonna work, but I mean, you gotta put them in. I don't care. You gotta put a Mountain West one loss team in if two of them go in. But even then, like Oregon State's at a potential where they could really go two losses in the Pac-12. I mean, their schedule is really not that. It's not that different. Like it's not that much harder than the other teams in what was formerly the North. I mean, they have to go at you, Oregon, but they host the Huskies, so you're You're talking about a team that could be two losses in the Pac-12. They could easily go undefeated in the Mountain West. I mean, yeah. So I really don't think it's that bad of a deal. And if you're talking about like other sports, I mean, Oregon State definitely has a reputation in baseball, but I mean, like football makes the money. But if they're fucking making the playoff, I guarantee you they'll be selling out Reezer and it's gonna be crazy, you know? That being said, this year is absolutely crucial. They're still under the radar slightly, but people are picking up on the hype. I mean, they're ranked. They're ranked. You know, they're in the coaches poll. Um, and the buzz is kind of around them. The buzz is around Jonathan Smith, but they're still slept on. So we will see. But this is the year that they really have to take advantage of and really make a dent and make the Pac-12. You know, they never won the North or nothing. They really haven't competed in the Pac-12 since I mean like 2007 when they played Oregon or something like that. Um but they're competitors this year and everybody in the conference knows, the coaches clearly know. So if they can pull it off this year, it would be the biggest Cinderella story. I think like, hey, fuck you, y'all are leaving the conference, go Bees, right? But it's gonna be tough. Pac-12 is tough. A lot of good quarterbacks, a lot of good coaches, and that means a lot of good teams. So to be honest, if the Pac-12 was staying together, I mean, all of these programs are going up. So that's the one thing that is kind of sad about it. The Beavers definitely going up. Utah is getting the respect, you know. They've been getting the respect and it's national now. Nobody's really doubting them anymore. Um Washington, they're getting a lot of respect. I mean, you got SC. They're getting maybe too much, but they're getting a lot of respect. And UCLA quietly is doing a pretty good job, I think. I think UCLA quietly is building a pretty good program. Chip Kelly seems like he's turned it around. They did well in the transfer portal, so all of these people are turning it around, turning the programs around, and then they're all leaving. So that is sad. I'm gonna miss the Pac-12 for that. But personally, as a Beavs fan, I really don't think it's that bad. As a Ute fan as well, I mean, it's awesome. I actually think it's good for the Ute because they get to play the Y all the time now. So and TCU. I think that rivalry can be I think that rivalry can come back because people don't really talk about it anymore. But the U versus TCU is pretty legit. So I think all the Big 12 teams. I think it's cool. Arizona joining probably the best basketball conference now. If you add Arizona, I don't know. Um, one of the better basketball conferences at least. Um, so the Big 12 teams did great. No shade to them. They did what they had to. Colorado is like, eh. You know, I think adding Dion did a lot. And so that's what I'm curious to see too. Because if in Oregon State, and I think Washington's a dark horse, they could end up like maybe being ranked at some point. I don't think they'll have a great season, but they have they're capable to pull off a decent upset for sure. And they could be a trap game for a lot of teams, especially if you have to go up to Pullman. Um, so that's one for sure. But I mean, if the Beavs win like 10 or 11 games and are playing in Vegas on December 1st, I believe, then they'll really get the national buzz. And like, if they do all right there, how how are you just gonna like say, hey, go to the Mountain West, and then if you do well there, then people, hey, maybe you will get the playoff bid. So I don't know. I still think like a one loss. depending on some wins, hopefully they keep scheduling the Civil War. If they keep doing it, it'll be great for the program. I do like see obviously how Utah and BYU kind of stopped when they switched. Um, and Utah kind of inherited a rivalry with Colorado, Colorado, and then obviously OU and Nebraska kind of split, but they've scheduled a few games sparingly. Same with the Holy War. Um, Oregon State needs to schedule Oregon. Definitely, it would suck if it was had to be at the beginning of the year because we're used to the Friday night Civil War, right after Thanksgiving. Um, but we'll see. All I'm saying is do not panic if you're a Beavs fan. Jonathan Smith is doing a fucking incredible job. And everything is there. The line is there. The quarterbacks are there. It's just the talent is finally there. And he's got a lot to work with. So we'll see. But I think they're gonna have a chip on their shoulders and they're gonna make some noise. And their over is 8.5. And I've already put a little bit on it. I don't like usually betting on my team. That's probably all I'll do for the Beavs this year is just take the over. Um, maybe throw some cheddar on them winning it all. Maybe the Pac-12. Maybe throw some cheddar on them winning the Pac-12. But other than that, I won't touch them during the season. But I think that 8.5 is a little disrespectful because if you look at their schedule, hold on, let me pull this shit up. If you look at the Beavs schedule, here's here's it. So the one difficult one that people wouldn't recognize is they're going to Pullman for their fourth game on the 23rd, right? That's going to be tough. We don't know what they'll be like then. That will be their first real test. Um, it's a game where you could struggle. It's a semi difficult place to play, I would say. But if they take care of business there, um, I think they'll take care of business against Utah. That game might potentially be game day. I don't know. That would be insane. That would be insane. But I think they should take care of business, and then maybe you're looking at like a top 10 team, 5-0 Beavs, right? And then they're gonna travel to Berkeley on a Friday. They should win that. Um, UCLA at home. That I think they'll take care of business. They go to Arizona, also kind of a difficult game. To Colorado, we'll see how Dion's doing, but I'm not super high on them this year. Stanford, Washington at home. That's key that it's at home. They really played them well last year. I think I don't know with if the quarterback situation was a little bit different, which it is. It's a lot different. Different cars for sure. Different people at the helm of the offense. But I think that the one thing I would say is Martinez needed to get the ball. He needs to get the ball a lot. You saw what he did with only I think it was like around 160 carries, and he had like 1,000 yards practically. 161 attempts for basically 1,000 yards. All right, that's fucking insane. Martinez balled. So if he could ball again, he's a bigger back, but not like super big. If you feed him a rock a lot, they got Deshaun Fenwick backing him up. I really think that the Beavs can make a lot of noise and definitely probably have the second record. Um, USC, I mean, there could be two L's when they travel to South Bend, and they're gonna have to go to Eugene as well. So USC could maybe have a couple losses as well, but I could see Oregon State versus USC, and that would be a legendary Pac-12 championship. because I know that the Beavs want another crack at USC. If that was the case, I would fucking go to that game because fuck, that was brutal. That loss in Corvallis was really awful, and I just think the Beavs want another crack at them really bad. I think Jonathan Smith really does too. So we'll see. I'm really optimistic about the Beavs, and it doesn't make sense because I've tried to be optimistic about the Beavs for like 15 years. And the one thing that they've had some bright years for sure, but not really. Nothing like this. Nothing like they had last year. I mean, they beat a SEC team. I mean, the bowl game was disrespectful a little bit. I wish they had a better team. Then hopefully if they are ranked at the end of the year, they'll definitely get a better opponent in a bowl game. Maybe a New Year's Six. That's definitely the ceiling for the Bees, I think, is a New Year's Six. A playoff appearance would be incredible, but for a team, the Beavs are gonna lose a game. I think I would be shocked if they went undefeated. They're gonna lose a game, maybe two. So I don't see them losing 3 games, honestly. And if they did, they would still hit the over. So I said hammer the over. So the line is returning everybody too. And if you have Martinez back there and the offensive line just keeps going and you're going to have 2 mobile quarterbacks, and I know they're going to miss Coletto, but DJ can kind of do some of that power running stuff, and I think in short yardage he will be really crucial. And they have Childs on the bench too, who's definitely very mobile too, and he looks capable. I think the Bees have a high ceiling, but they have high expectations, which is something they haven't really seen in a long time. You know, they're the hipster pick, which makes me kind of nervous. It makes me kind of nervous. But let's talk about Trent Bray for a little bit, man. And this guy played at Oregon State, right? And he's been their D coordinator for a little bit. He was at Nebraska earlier too. So he's their D coordinator, and I think he's the one coordinator that nobody really talks about who's actually doing an incredible job. I know they lost Omar Spates and I know they lost Rajon, so that defense took a big hit. But this guy is definitely a sleeper for the Broyles Award. Um, I think that defense has completely turned around. The physicality of Oregon State is nothing to joke with, and that's how you build a team. There's 2 ways you build a team, and you saw it in Utah, you see it in Georgia, right? Because like with Mark Richt, it was different. Then Kirby took over, and you see it with Dabo. This is what you do: you establish physicality, and you win at home. That's how you develop winning football. It doesn't matter what fucking conference you're in. It doesn't matter where the fuck you are. All right. You can get 3 stars. You've seen Whittingham do it. You can get 3 stars and turn them into 5 fucking first round draft picks, second round draft picks, first night, type shit. And we've seen it happen. And all you need to do, even Iowa is kind of like that too, a little bit. You just develop physicality and win at home. And the Bees have been doing that the past 2 years. And if Jonathan Smith can keep that up, they protect the dam and they fucking just keep being physical, which is what they're doing. And the offensive line is nasty right now. It's no joke. So that's my breakdown on the Beavs. It's definitely a homer perspective. I'm not gonna lie. Shout out my boy ZCA. And it's a Roman Silva jersey. Yeah. Fucking. But they have a very favorable schedule. You know, they have the Utes at home, and they have Washington at home. And I mean, going to Eugene is not the best thing for sure, but it is still in the States, so it's not the worst road game. Um, the games I'm worried about, honestly, more. I think they'll beat Utah. That's obviously never an easy game, but they get them at home, which is huge, and they get Washington at home. But at Arizona and at Wazoo is a little suspect because I think those guys have quarterbacks who can play, and it's on the road, you know. And I already talked about Pullman. Tucson's far away. You know, it's different weather and shit. You know, I don't know. Um, Also, I believe that Utah game is on a Friday, so maybe scratch that off about game day. Um, nah, wait, is it on a Friday? Yeah, it is on a Friday. If it's on a Friday, that's gonna be Friday in Corvallis. It could be fucking raining. It's gonna be a physical ass game. That's much watch TV. Must fucking watch TV. In fact, I will quit my job to watch that game. I don't care. I'll do whatever the fuck, I have to do to watch that game, obviously, because it's the Beavs. But it's also gonna be an insane game of football. I might even go there. I might even go to the game. But the Beavs really could fucking win that game and just run the damn ball. And Washington will leave a bad taste in their mouth. Going at Eugene is going to be really, really, really difficult. Bo Nix could be developing a Heisman campaign. If you look at Oregon's talent across the board, it's it's been the one thing that Cristobal did do is he did get a lot of talent in Eugene. And I mean, it was, I don't know if it's, I mean, he's been recruiting well at Miami, so it's his doing partially. But he also flexed the brand and he flexed Dr. Phil up there. Um, so he was able to do that effectively, and then it's transitioned properly under Lanning's vision. So now that Lanning's there, he's still recruiting well, and then obviously they have both fucking Knicks, right? So damn, dude, I think Bo Nix is such a legend if he was just on a team that wasn't Oregon. So Oregon is just gonna be a difficult game, and that is what it is. It's the damn Civil War. So you don't know if they're gonna pull it off. It's obviously gonna be a 3 point game, 7 point game. Usually not a dominant win either direction. Being the home field advantage might swing it. So hopefully the Beavs can either get to there unscathed or have 1-0 and maybe just run it back against Oregon for the ship, or maybe USC, some tiebreaker scenario. Who knows? Either way, I think the ceiling is a good New Year's Six game, and that could be a playoff game, but I think maybe not, probably not, but I don't know. That's insane that I'm saying it. So I'm like, damn, shoot for the ceiling, but like, oh my god, this is just it's absolutely surreal as a Beaver fan. Um, but I think that 8.5 is a lock. If you're watching this and you're just saying this is a fucking homer, I get it. I'm a fucking homer. But I mean, the Beavs aren't getting enough love, and they're getting love this year, but it's still not enough because Jonathan Smith is the guy. He's the man. He is the man. He's the man. And go Beavs. Peace.